Hi everyone, Jared here. Time for the market video update. We're getting started a little bit early this morning, but markets are pretty flat. They're not really going anywhere, so I think we'll probably have about the same looking setup in the next couple of hours. So let's get a jump on it. First off, we see that the Dow tried to make a run at 13,000. It touched it for just a second, and then it's come off it just a little bit. You can see we're sitting around 12,980-ish area, just kind of bouncing around there. Oil is reaching some all-time highs, not all-time highs, but definitely highs of several months. We're up over 106 right now, which is crazy. And gold, as you can see, is heading up to some pretty high levels as well. We're going to look at that gold chart, but lots of kind of push in the equities markets. We definitely have seen a lot of uncertainty in the way of what's going on with Greece, and that's kind of getting things a little bit on the panic side. But still, some good things are happening. Not much in the way of news today. Coming into tomorrow, we've got a couple of announcements. Existing home sales for the U.S., that's going to be a mover, and then the meeting minutes for the U.K., that's also going to be a mover, and that's where they vote on who's in agreement with changing interest rates, lowering them, keeping them the same, raising them, that kind of thing. We have the dollar index, which is still trying to make some sort of move. Like I said, 79 is the level to keep above if we're going to have any kind of uptrend continuation here. We could be headed for a little bit of a double bottom on that short term and then a continuation up, but 79, that's going to be the area to keep an eye on, so we're going to do that. Looking at this euro dollar, it's getting really choppy in here. We had a long-term trade that we started at about 132.00. At about 50 pips, we locked in profit, and then it took us out on some of this news of what was going on in the Greece and so on. We had these big candles here, so it took us out just at a pip and then continued way back up, and it's just all over the place. We're still watching this trend line and this formation right here. I still think the euro's got a good chance of reaching about 133.00 to 133.50 area. But it's going to need to get above some of these highs, and right now we have a pretty strong double top that we're working on. Nice V-shaped pattern here. The market just came off those lows like crazy, and now it's having a heck of a time with this resistance up here. So I'm just looking to kind of test these highs of the resistance, and then kind of let the market do whatever it's going to do after that. If for some reason we get some crazy news, something changes, everything kind of changes, I'm going to be watching this trend line right here, and I think we could have some trade opportunities on the break of this trend line, and it could be getting us into something even as low as down in this area here, maybe 132.20, 132.10, right in that general area. We're going to kind of just let it run and play out and so on, but you can see that it's kind of running up these trend lines. It's staying kind of choppy, but so far it's still continuing above this, so I'm not going to look for any selling opportunities too close to anything just yet. We're just looking to make sure it stays above this trend line. The big longer term sell opportunity that I think we'll have is a break of this 132.00, probably more like 131.90, 132.00 here. I think could really start taking this euro way back down, so we're going to keep our eye on that. But for the meantime, we're just kind of looking to get in on some of these dips and try to trade back up into these highs of 132.80 and so on, and just kind of see how that whole situation goes there. So that's what is on the calendar for the medium and short-term activity on the euro dollar. Pound dollar, on the other hand, is not quite as bullish looking as this euro dollar is. The pound dollar is really kind of made this big breakout here, and it gave us a big retracement, and then we can see that it kind of is making a bit of a lower high. Here's our high, and then here's our next high right here, and it's just not quite up to par with even double topping, and it's come off that pretty well, which is leading me to believe that we could start to see a bigger 4-hour crossover and a bigger continuation down here, and see that this is really going to stay below this 200-day moving average and continue its way back on down. So we're going to be looking at that. I think the levels to really watch on the pound dollar right now are going to be a break of 157.70. You can see that we're about 20 to 25 pips above that right now, but 157.70 is going to be the level to break, and if we get that, I think we have a very easy next target of 157.30. So about 40 pips from there, and then beyond, if we get a continuation down, then I'm fully expecting the pound to come back into these lows, 156.50, 156.00, and so on. But the level to break right now is going to be that 157.70. If we do get a break of that, let's get some stops in here and some take profits and see if we can ride this thing on on down, and that's going to be really the big guy to look for. As far as any short-term activity goes, you can see that there's a little bit of some trend line movement going on there, but I don't think I'll try to get into this thing until we get more of a break of this level. And once again, I think that 157.70 is going to be the crucial one to look for. On the upside, you can see that we do have a bit of a descending trend line right here. If it does start to break some of that, we may see a bounce once again of 157.70 like we've seen so many times. I don't know if I'll get in until I see a break of this trend line right here. If it does break that trend line, that would be the buy entry that I would potentially be looking for. Yen pairs are kind of just continuing on doing their thing. Pound yen's flattened out quite a bit. The Aussie dollar, we talked about this yesterday, and there's a couple of interesting things going on here with the Aussie dollar. Number one, big trend line right here, big trend line, and that trend line is definitely followed up with needing to break this strong support right here, which is about 106.50, 106.40, right in that general area, and so far it's really been staying above that. The Aussie dollar's been staying above that, so I wouldn't really consider that much of a breakout until we get below that channel. But once we do, I think this is going to be a big turning point, and I think the Aussie is going to have 200 or 300 pips almost immediately of movement once we break some of that and start continuing down. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on a break and a hold below 106.50, 106.30, kind of right in that general area. So we'll address that as we go. Short-term movements, we've got to be very, very careful because the Aussie is pretty choppy right here. So the short-term activities are going to be pretty bouncy, risky, kind of crazy. I do like this little trend line right here. I'm just looking at this guy, and if we do get a little bit of a push above here, 1 hour crossover and so on, which isn't so far away, we're about 25 pips away from that one as well. There could be a little bit of buying opportunity there, so I'll keep my eye on that. As far as any short-term trend lines go and so on, you can see that a little bit better on the 15-minute chart and even on the 30-minute chart. If that doesn't hold in place so well, then we may also be looking for just a little short-term move on this trend line right here. We've got a couple of testings of this, and it looks like if we can start to get maybe below this 106 kind of 75 area, which it's only about 85, 86, so about 106, 75, 76 right in that general area, should cause a bigger run down to hopefully test some of these lows here. So there could potentially be about 30 or so pips in a movement like that if we get below that trend line and below about 106.75, give or take. So just keep an eye on that. But we're not going to want to be looking for any kind of a movement. Even if that does break, we don't want to take that if gold is continuing to do what it's doing. And right now it's definitely up here. Gold is making a run for 1760, 61 again for those highs. If gold stays below these highs, then we're in good shape for continuations down on all of those pairs that we talked about. If not, it already broke our 1735 level that I talked about in the video yesterday, and so that's been a nice little run there. Lots and lots of pips and lots of money to be made, and I heard that some people in the group got into that, which is great. But we want to make sure that it can stay below this 1760 before we look for any longer term sell opportunities on any of those pairs. If we do get a break above this, then that should help pound dollar, euro dollar, Aussie dollar continue through some of those highs. But right now we're just kind of watching gold, and we're going to see if it's going to be able to stay below 1760, 61 or not. So that's going to be our big question mark there. But for the rest of it, we're just going to wait and see. We've got some great long-term setups and some good movements there, and we will. I'll have more details posted in the notes and on Twitter as the day and night goes on. Thanks a bunch, everyone. Best of luck, and we'll see you in the chat.